What's up, it's your boy the Notorious Migs back again with another video, and today we're doing the NRL match predictions for round 3. Now before we get into those, I'm gonna run through round 2 real quick and just tell you what I got right, what I got wrong. For St. George and Illawarra Dragons versus South Sydney Rabbitohs, I predicted 28-12 South Sydney win. I got the outcome right, but I got the score wrong. Both teams just had to score one more try each in the last 10 minutes after being on the right score. Raiders versus Storm, I got the outcome right with Melbourne winning, but the score wrong. North Queensland versus the Broncos, got both wrong. The Sharks versus the Titans, Sharks won 22-6. No, they won 20-6, and I predicted 22-6, which is very irritating. I was 2 points off again. But Knights versus Panthers, I predicted a Knights win, and the Panthers actually came home with it, so credit to them. Manly Seagulls versus Sydney Roosters. Roosters did get the win, but it wasn't as convincing as I thought it would be. Manly did actually show some fight and cause problems late in the game. So, yeah. You had the Canterbury Bulldogs versus the Parramatta Eels. I actually did have the chance to go to that game, and it was 36-16. Parramatta won, and I predicted 26-12, but that's exactly what I said Parramatta needed, a big performance like that to be going into the Roosters game with confidence, which I'll get onto later. And Tigers versus Warriors. I got the score wrong, but I got it right. The Tigers would win for all those who doubted me and tipped Warriors. And there was a few that I know of outside of YouTube, obviously. But anyway, now on to round 3. We start off with the Broncos versus the Dragons. Broncos at home. Well, look, after watching Broncos versus Cowboys, Broncos definitely look like a threat. They can cause just for anybody problems when they get it right on their day, and I feel like they will be getting it right on a fair few occasions this season. They're at home to St. George, who can do alright. Like, they did look decent for patches against South Sydney, but yeah, I don't think they're good enough to beat Brisbane, especially with Brisbane being at home. I feel like they're going to come riding off what was a good win, and they will go into this game with confidence. Therefore, I'm going to go with Brisbane winning 28-12. Yeah, 28-12 Brisbane over Saints. That's reasonable. I ought to note these down so I can write them in the description and not forget any, because in my last video, I forgot to put the Broncos-Cowboys score prediction in the description. Anyway, next game will be the Canberra Raiders versus the Newcastle Knights. Raiders at home. They look pretty good, actually, the Raiders. I think they're underrated. They might actually have a decent year this season. You never know. Coming up against the Newcastle Knights, who, hot and cold, they've got the roster. Doesn't look like they could do something, but I don't know. They're not. I don't know if they have the solidity yet. And Raiders at home will be a test, so I'm actually going to go with the upset. I think that Raiders could get a narrow victory here. So I think I'm going to go with 18-14 Canberra Raiders winning this one. Narrowly I think they could do it. Next game will be the Parramatta Eels versus the Sydney Roosters. Parramatta at home at ANZ Stadium, not Bankwest yet. Look, form-wise and the way the teams are playing, you could almost say Parramatta are the favourites if you're taking that into account. But on paper, Roosters do have the better squad. They've got Cronk and Friend coming back for this game, I believe, which doesn't help Parramatta's chances. It's a really tough game to call because Parramatta got the form, Roosters got the team on paper, and it's just, I think with the Roosters, it's a matter of when are they going to click and can they get consistency in their game? Because if they do that, they should really be winning the premiership with the players they have. But I don't know if it's going to happen. And the thing is as well, as long as Parramatta have played, I don't know if they're going to be consistent either. And on top of that, watching them in the first 20-25 minutes against the Bulldogs, there was a lot of handling errors and drop balls. And as a Parramatta fan, I was sitting there thinking, despite the fact that it was a good scoreline and everything like that, we can't do that against the Roosters because the Roosters have players that will punish us. The Dogs put 2 tries past us and only got 2 tries because they're the Bulldogs. And they're not, and they're just poor. You know, the Roosters, who have the likes of Daniel Tupou, Latrell Mitchell, Joseph Manu, Brett Morris, who I'm not sure if he's in the play, but the likes of those players, and, you know, Tedesco, you know, with Cronk and Kiri creating stuff in the halves, a very solid forward pack. They could have put 4 or 5 tries on us. If we had done that against Roosters that 25 minutes, we could have easily leaked 4, 5 tries. So, yeah, if we do have spells like that, it could cost us big time. So, for Parramatta to really win, they're going to have to start strong and stay solid defensively especially, and make sure they get through their sets. They cannot, I know it's a bit under hay fever, but they cannot afford to be coughing up the ball, and I'm not sure. And it is a very hard game to call, regardless of whether I'm being biased to Parramatta or I'm going at an unbiased look. It's a tough one, but I think narrowly I'm going to give it to the Roosters. I'm going to go, or maybe a little bit more than narrowly. I just feel like it's doable for Parramatta to win, but just not, I don't know. I'm going to go Parramatta, I think 28-18, Roosters beat Parramatta. Oh, it's a little bit painful, but you never know. And besides, when I pegged Parramatta to lose against Penrith, we actually come out with a win. And yeah, if I'm going to add on top of that as well, Parramatta, I've seen us put some very poor performances in against Roosters. I've been at games, I've seen them on TV. Yeah, we've had some very poor performances against the Roosters, so yeah. Anyway, next game. Manly Seagulls versus New Zealand Warriors. This game is going to be tough to call again because Warriors come out very strong at the start of the season. But then again, like I said, in terms of Parramatta, this game last week, it was the Bulldogs. And the Bulldogs just look poor, man. Like, I hate the Bulldogs personally. But even being unbiased, man, they just look poor, you know. And then they go away from home to play the Tigers, and New Zealand Warriors, it didn't end well for them. And Manly, I mean, they have lost their first 2 games, but one thing that they have shown is fight, you know. And the Tigers, you know, they've been playing, you know, quite well this season. They look a good team, especially at the start of this season, and, you know, which made it a tough game for Manly. And then Manly had to go and play Roosters, and they caused Roosters a couple of problems. So, you know, Manly could be of a, you know, half a chance in this game against the Warriors. And I think this is a type of game that they need to get a bit of belief back in the fans if they can get the victory here. And I think that they might just. I don't think Warriors will do it. I'm going to go, I think I'm going to go Manly 20-something, 26. Yeah, I'm going to go Manly 26 and the Warriors, I don't know, this is random, 22. So, I'm just noting these down so I remember them from the description, like I said. Next is the North Queensland Cowboys versus the Cronulla Sharks. This game could be interesting. I think Cronulla lost the Knights in the first round, but then they came back with a win against the Titans at home. Now they go away to North Queensland, who look alright, but missing Taumalolo for 6 to 8 weeks will put a dent in their forward pack, that's for sure. So this game is looking pretty hard to call, to be honest with you. They're 2 teams who seem around probably the same area of the table come, you know, August, whatever it is, when the top 8, but like, I don't know. This is going to be an interesting game. I don't know how, I feel like the Sharks may just come out a bit better, but North Queensland at home as well, man. I mean, yeah, but they're losing a big chunk in the forward pack. If Cronulla can just out-scrap them in the forwards, they could get a sloppy victory here. I think I'm going to go narrow to the Sharks. I'm going to go, I think, 26-24 Cronulla. I'm going with a close, scrappy affair for a Cronulla Sharks win. The next game in the round is Penrith Panthers at home to the Melbourne Storm. Panthers, good result, winning against the Knights last week. Yeah, trying to get their form back. Melbourne, away from home, but, I mean, look, one thing we know about Melbourne is they just play good composed. The experience is there. They can manage their way through a game. And I don't think they have the strike anymore to be blowing teams away, but they will be winning the games that they should win. And that'll keep them well in the top 8, even top 4. And it'll keep them, at the very least, a challenger for the premiership, you have to feel. So you cannot, it's hard to go against Melbourne. Although, you never know, Panthers can pull a shock. And I think the win will help get them playing a bit more galvanised. But I don't know. I mean, I think I'm gonna stick with Melbourne. Yeah. I'm gonna go Melbourne 20, Panthers 16. See, I'll tell you now, I'm being honest with these scores. I'm not sure even where I'm getting them from. It's hard, very hard to predict actual scores of a game. You know, even the pundits do just margins. So I'm going a massive step up here, but trying to get it. All right, anyway, we have the Tigers versus the Bulldogs. Tigers have looked in good form to start the season. You got Benji Marshall and Robbie Farah looking like their old selves from about 12, 13 years ago, back when they won that 2006 premiership, I think. Anyway, up against the Bulldogs, who, like I said it about their game against Warriors, I said it about their game against Parramatta, they just look poor, man. I don't know. If the Bulldogs cannot step up for a derby against Parramatta, I would say their biggest rivals in the competition, then who says they're going to step up for this? You know, their forward pack hasn't been particularly frightening. They have shown nothing in terms of attacks with their backs and the halves. What is there to suggest that the Bulldogs will get a win here? You know? I mean, I just don't know. I mean, for the amount of sets that they had on Parramatta's line, they didn't do an awful lot with it. And if the Tigers can put in a solid defensive performance, and the Dogs won't be getting more than 2 or 3 tries at best, you know, I just think the Tigers will take it. I reckon this would be very similar to the Warriors. I'm going to go 20. I'm going to go with the Sharks Gold Coast scoreline prediction, or no, the actual game. I'm going to go 22-4 Tigers win against the Bulldogs. So, and the last game we have is South Sydney Rabbitohs versus Gold Coast Titans. South Sydney Rabbitohs look like one of their, I think, along with Parramatta and Tigers, the form team in the competition at the moment, versus Gold Coast, who, again, just don't look like they're going to get anything, you know, big or special. They just look not really, meh, nothing there. And I think this would just be another standard win for South Sydney, especially at home. Solid in attack and defence, going full, you know, solid forward pack, and they'll just be able to outplay Titans in pretty much every aspect. I mean, so yeah, I just don't see an awful lot in this game for the Titans. Maybe the fact that they are massive underdogs could give them something, and they, excuse me, could, you know, throw something completely out of the blue, but I just don't see it. I mean, I'm going to go South Sydney winning 30-6. Adam Reynolds, sharpshooter on the boot, 30-6 South Sydney. Let's see if any of these end up right. So, yep, those are my predictions for NRL Round 3. I will run through them again quickly just to remind you. Brisbane versus Melbourne, 28-12. Canberra versus Newcastle, 18-14. The team I say first is the home team. The team I say second is the away team. And the score I say first is the home team score. And the score I say second is the away team score. Alright, you know, I'll do it a better way, actually. For the first game, I'm predicting that Brisbane will beat St. George by a score of 28-12. I predict that Canberra will beat Newcastle by a score of 18-14. I predict that Parramatta will lose to the Sydney Roosters by a score of 18-28. I predict Manly to beat the Warriors by a score of 26-22. I predict North Queensland to lose to Cronulla Sharks by a score of 24-26. I predict the Penrith Panthers to lose to Melbourne by a score of 16-20. I predict the West Tigers to defeat the Canterbury Bulldogs with a score of 22-4. And I predict the South Sydney Rabbitohs to defeat the Gold Coast with a score of 30-6. So, wait, before I end the video, do I want to give Dogs 6 points? Yeah, scratch that. I'm going to go 22-6 for Tigers versus Bulldogs. I think Dogs will just convert a try if they get it. But, yeah, that'll be the end of the video. Be sure to leave a like, leave your comments, leave your predictions in the comments, guys. I'd love to see what you guys think about how the games are going to go. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. And just now, I have a feeling it's going to be 22-4 Tigers versus Bulldogs, isn't it? Just because I changed it.